Ooh! It is your witchy friend Grace from Small World's Big Adventures with a little Spooktober announcement before a review of the spooky game Skeptics. This week, we will be giving away a game from our personal collection. This week's game is Hako Onna, the heart-stopping game about trying to escape a haunted house. To qualify, you must live in the United States and comment on at least one video this week, October 22nd through the 28th. We will then randomly choose a winner from the comments. Also, everyone who comments throughout the month, the 1st through the 30th, will be entered for a brand new copy of Horrified, a maddening cooperative board game with iconic monsters. We'll announce the winner by commenting on one of the person's comments and announce on each Sunday's video who has won. The more videos you comment on, the greater your chance you have to win, so let us know your thoughts on each game. Hi, I'm Gracie, and this is Scott with Small World's Big Adventures, and today we're going to be doing a review of Skeptics.
Skeptics is a game for 1 to 4 players. It can play in 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on players.
Yeah.
We kickstarted this game. You can find it used for $60. It's not really something you can get off of Amazon. If you really like it, try and get it used. Otherwise, see if they ever do another Kickstarter for it.
Yeah.
Not sure. Setup is about 20 minutes. There's a lot of components for this, a lot of cards, a lot of things to place on the board. You and your companions enter a abandoned asylum. You're looking for evidence of a ghost. You basically move through the asylum, searching the rooms for clues and items that are left behind that can help you as you search. The ghost shows up every few turns, and you can try and prove that the ghost exists. Ultimately, that's how you win, is by proving it enough times or getting enough proof that the ghost exists before time runs out.
Yeah. Before we get kicked off into our review, we have a question. What haunted place, whether you believe or not, would you want to visit? I think if I had to choose, I would choose the Basilica House, because that is in Iowa, and it's a pretty famous one. So, sure. What about you?
The Winchester Mansion.
That's high up on my list too.
Yeah,
what a bonkers place.
I've always thought that was neat, even without haunted or not. Just the architecture and the way it's set up just seems really cool.
Yeah. When we do our ratings, we do them on a 5-point scale, from terrible, bad, mixed, good to excellent. To kick it off, we're going to talk about player agency. I said that player agency was good, leaning towards excellent. You have 3 actions, and those actions can be a number of things. And especially until the ghosts start showing up, you can kind of do what you want with them, from exploring to unlocking to all these other things. Now, once the ghost starts popping up, especially if it's in your room, you're a little more confined. But I think in general, the player agency is good.
I also put good, but going in the other direction, almost would go with mixed. You actually have something like 7 actions you can do throughout the game, but at any one time, you can only do probably 2 of them.
That's true.
You can move, but you need to get places. You can unlock doors, but if you don't, you can't get anywhere.
Also true.
And then you're mostly searching.
Yeah.
Like, that's most of what you're doing. When the ghost shows up, you can try and prove it. Technically, sometimes you'll search up clues and you're solving the clues, but that's basically the same as searching. Yeah. It uses the same mechanic. So there are a number of things you can do, but ultimately you're pretty limited at any one point. And then we hit a point in the last game we played where we literally searched the entire building. And at that point, there was only one thing we could do, which was run around after the ghost and try and prove it, which eventually defeats the ghost.
I think kind of your complaints with the player agency is where I come down with mechanics. Players have lots of options, but because of the mechanics of the game, then you become limited. And I hate when it comes down to it. Almost everything comes down to dice rolls. Like, you can roll and keep what's good and then try again. But dice can be fickle friends. So the mechanics of the game, I think, are cumbersome. And we'll get into this a little overly complicated.
Yeah.
And then while you have lots of actions you can take, you often get pigeonholed because your dice rolls aren't good.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I do think that the player agency was good, but I agree with you. The mechanics are mixed.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like the dice mechanics in this game. I like mechanics where you're kind of building towards something with the dice.
Sure.
You do get to keep dice per action until you actually can hopefully succeed at what you're doing, although you won't necessarily do it because it is at the end of the day a dice roll. But I feel like that's one of the things one of the few things I actually really like about the game is that mechanic, and I don't feel like they kind of play into that as well as they should have, and maybe that's part of the problem. The game is more complex than it should be for what you're doing, and that slows the game down in a lot of spots. It can make the game a little frustrating, especially with the randomness of how searching works. You could end up with nothing that'll help you in your investigation beyond maybe you find some clues and stuff, but then you can't solve them because you don't have any type of gear that'll help you do that. We didn't quite hit that in any of the games that we did, but that possibility is sort of there. And because you have essentially a limited amount of time to do everything in, you can't have somebody just drop gear somewhere and then you run across the building to go get it. So I agree. Mechanics are mixed.
Yeah. Components wise, I also said mixed. When we kickstarted it, I think we kickstarted it for around $50, which is not a cheap game.
No.
They have standees, which we live in a modern day age. That should become less and less thing. But more than anything, they have all these little pieces that sit on the board and you hopefully don't jostle. I think my biggest frustration with it is like you're expected to put something not covering you have to put the clue token thingy on top of what tells you what you have to roll for that clue token thing.
Yeah.
And it just like adds to chaos on the board.
Yeah.
And I do not enjoy that.
Yep.
Besides that, the artwork's very nice. But
yeah, the artwork's good. I went good with components. Agree with your complaint, and we've talked about this with other games. There's literally only 4 characters. Why aren't there plastic miniatures for those? That's almost, that's inexcusable for a game like this, to be honest.
They give us a little plastic thing for the ghost,
There's a plastic thing for the ghost.
Barely on the board.
There's an extra plastic thing for the ghost shadow for a different scenario. There's a lot of components to the game.
So many components.
And they're pretty decent quality.
Sure,
so that's why I went with good. But your complaints are super valid. Yeah. But also some of that I think just goes into my complaint about our complaints really about the mechanics is that becomes a problem because the game is overly complicated for what it needed to be.
Theming wise, I will let you go first.
We'll go first. It's mixed. The theme is fine.
He is incorrect. It's terrible.
I think this is the first terrible we've had in the review for maybe anything.
Yeah.
I do feel like you kind of get the gist of going into this place and searching for clues and then finding the ghost and sort of proving it.
That is not the premise of the game, though. The game is called Skeptics.
Yeah.
Why are we not trying to disprove the ghost?
That's not what this game is.
It is not.
You are half the group, I think, are straight up believers. One's a psychic.
Yep.
Like each of the characters have their own backstory and stuff. The ghosts all have backstories.
Now, mind you, like one of the characters, like the letter you get says, "Thank you for participating, even though you don't believe in these things." But again, the whole purpose, like everything you do, is to prove there's a ghost.
Yeah, I can't fault you on that. I can't. If you're not looking at it as the box wants you to be a skeptic, then it gets the theme across for the most part. I think complaint there is there's a lot of good backstory leading into starting the game.
Sure.
And basically nothing when you're in the game.
Nothing carries out.
Each ghost requires, trying to think off the top of my head, but probably a dozen different things you have to prove the ghost exists with no explanation of what any of that is.
No.
All the gear you get is gear scattered around the location that you didn't bring with you.
Yeah.
So that's why my theming ends up mixed. Like, there is kind of an ambiance of hunting down this ghost.
Sure.
And if you don't care that the game is called Skeptic, then you're pretty much fine. But
that is the name of the game.
Yeah.
So even beyond that, you know, they could just do a name change, have it be Believers. I don't know. But like, the premise is you're trying to disprove this hocus pocusy stuff. And you see the ghost within 1 hour of being in the house.
Yeah.
So if they would have just committed to Skeptics, they could have done a series of like experiments to disprove what it is. So like, it's ectoplasm, and then you do an experiment, and then tangentially they can be like, oh, it's just, I don't know, cornstarch. So like, that's a way they could have carried out more consistently with Skeptics.
Sure.
Now, if they just wanted to change the name and have it be Believers or Clairvoyant,
let's find a ghost! Exclamation point.
They still could have done it better. In the sense of like, you're wandering around this house and you don't have a lot to go off of besides, hey, there's a ghost here. So like, they don't even give you like really evidence of the ghost. Like, there's a little creepy boy, he rolls a ball in this room, or something like that. Like, you literally are just wandering.
Well, you find the clues, and the clues tell you a little bit. They're really vague, though.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you and I watch haunted ghost stuff. Rarely do people go into a building going, let's just see.
Yeah.
Let's just see.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't find the name of the game quite bad. But,
I know.
But I mean, that's why I put mixed, is because the theming is all before you start the game. Once the game starts, that theming falls off real quick and really basically doesn't come back. Yeah, it could be a different game. And honestly, like, I think it'd be a cool idea, but that's designing a whole nother game of, you go in the place and through a series of different cards and stuff, maybe the place is haunted, maybe it's not.
Exactly.
And your Skeptics prove one way or the other would be a neat game, but that's not this game.
It is not this game.
That's designing a whole different game. Coming soon from Small World's Big Adventures. Not called Skeptics, though.
No, that would be bad. Enjoyability, I said mixed.
Mixed.
Honestly, and it's not even the theming that ruins it for me. All the like over complexity of it takes away from the enjoyment of it.
Yeah. We reviewed Hako Onna, and in a similar way, that game is also more complex than what the idea needs it to be. And this is too. It's interesting concept, there are some interesting mechanics in it, but it ends up being really kind of muddied, and it's the complexity does not add a layer of fun to the game.
Yeah.
It takes away from it. This game should be quicker and a little more simpler, so that you're just kind of moving through the rooms fast and finding the clues and the ghost. It takes 20 minutes to set up and about as long to take down. And that pretty well tells you almost everything you need to know for a game like this.
Like, I think the like pinnacle example of it is like those damn little door sticks. You have to put these little sticks to indicate the doors are locked.
Show if a door is locked or open.
To just like take it off. And what kills me even more about that is the color underneath the door. It's a green stick. The color underneath the door is green too. Yeah. So what have we changed? Nothing.
Well, now you know that the door is gone.
I'm pretty sure we could figure out a different way to do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, overly complex, mixed enjoyability. That is not to say there aren't enjoyable moments, but
yeah, mixed.
Yeah. My final thoughts are, I think similar to you, it's overly complex and to the detriment of the game. The actions you take don't align with being skeptics. You like, and some of it's just like the phrasing and all that stuff is like, you prove stuff, you don't disprove stuff, like, and all that type of thing. I will say something we haven't touched on is like, there are a variety of ghosts, and the board has two sides. So like, if you do enjoy this game and you want to play it more, then like, there's a variety there that can add to the longevity of enjoyment. if that existed ever. What about you?
Our final thoughts are going to be real similar. It's too complex.
Yeah.
I like a good complex game. We've reviewed a number of them. Some of those games are top 5, top 10 games for me that I've played. This won't be that. Its idea is interesting. The complexity takes away from the fun for the game. That's just the long and short of it. You talk about the door thing. A much easier mechanic and still clunky and not great would have been when you unlock a door, you put the thing on there to show it's unlocked.
Yeah.
Simple, it reduces setup time, but that's not how it is. Final thought, also multiple scenarios. There are, we kickstarted it, but again, I'm not sure there's any way to get it other than used, except for the Kickstarter, which a lot of small companies do that. And it comes with technically 2 expansions, but they just add extra ghosts and some cards. So I think there's a total of something like 6 ghosts. The board is double-sided. There's literally a campaign, which gets you the ability to gain extra abilities for your investigators as you're going through the campaign. We've never gone past the first EC Ghost, mainly in part because we don't like the game that much, and also with games like this, we keep swapping up groups, so we don't move on to a more complex ghost, but also we'll never play the campaign. Even if we had a group that right now that would consistently play board games.
There's another campaign or legacy game.
There's many other campaign or legacy games that we play before this. Final thought, this is going in the basement. We won't get rid of this. We'd pull it out maybe if somebody was interested in it, but this isn't staying up with our main games. I can't say that about very many of the games that we've reviewed this month for Spooktober. This is certainly going to be one of them. It's I don't hate the game, but I'm really just meh about this game.
Wildly indifferent about it. I would never discourage anyone from playing it, but I would never encourage anyone from playing it.
I can definitely see groups enjoying it, and if you do or think you do, again, it's got a lot of meat there in the different ghosts and the campaign and the 2-sided board, which have totally different, not only different map layouts, but different cards for the rooms and areas in them, so that it plays out very differently. Just not interested in doing it.
Nope.
Yeah.
If you like games like Hako Onna, where it's a haunted house and you're trying to find stuff as you go through it.
Yeah, it's got some similar ideas.
Yeah. Or if you like games like Mysterium, where one of you's a ghost and you're clairvoyance trying to solve the thing.
Thematically, it's real similar.
Yep. Or Betrayal on House on the Hill.
You're searching through a bunch of different rooms and finding equipment that's going to help you out as you go through. Yeah. You might like this game.
You might like this game. And
you might like Skeptics.
And you might have liked this video. And if you did, you can go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to see more board game reviews, gamekeepers tips, tabletop DIYs, then you can go ahead and subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell the next time we upload, you'll be notified.
If you noticed Grace's shirt change halfway through, comment below.
Because it did. If there's nothing else, we'll see you next time.